Beetle juice?
Yes, that's it!
Is everything in our world really as it seems? Familiarize yourself with this material and share it, so we can collectively uncover what is truly happening around us. Imagine our children growing up free from hidden agendas and manipulation. Our awareness can make this change, made for entertainment only.
Prided ourselves on having a free and open media, but we don't. It's totally controlled.
No, it's different. Bill Gates, I mean, he's donated, what is it now, $319 million to...
And he gives money to the BBC.
BBC, Guardian, and
the BBC let him go on television and promote the jabs.
Beetlejuice.
That he was a major shareholder in Pfizer.
Yeah.
And say how everyone's got to have them and no one's safe until we're all jabbed. And then he dumps his shares and makes a big profit about 2 months ago. And then he goes on the BBC and says, "Oh, the
Beetlejuice
weren't really very good. We need better
Beetlejuice
next time."
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there was obviously a huge financial interest in all of this as well.
It was a huge financial interest. He should never have been allowed on our national broadcaster because they have a no advertising policy.
Yeah.
And he was clearly advertising for people to take actions that were monetarily going to benefit him. He's the only philanthropist I know who's trying to give his money away that gets richer every year.
That's kind of funny.
He's not very good at
it.
He can't give his money away.
That's very bad.
Monday, 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 always Sunday in the rich man's world.
Gates' business strategies came under fire in 1998 when the United States Department of Justice sued Microsoft for antitrust violations.
Tape 3 of the videotape deposition of Bill Gates.
During the 18-month trial, Gates gave hours of videotape testimony.
What were the non-Microsoft browsers that you were concerned about in January of 1996?
That month.
Yes, sir.
And what about it?
What non-Microsoft browsers were you concerned about in January of 1996?
I don't know what you mean concerned.
What is it about the word concerned that you don't understand?
I'm not sure what you mean by it.
The Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems.
Did Billy learn the right lessons from that defeat? Did he then swear to himself never to make the same mistake again? And what if the incident with the pie thrown in his face awakened dark, terrifying ideas about the population? Perhaps it was then, in the shadow of public humiliation, that a sinister plan was born, now lurking in the shadows and stirring fear.
In a move to overshadow the negative press, Gates invested $100 million to set up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Overnight, Bill Gates transformed his public image from ruthless tech monopolizer to the world's most generous philanthropist.
I'm pleased to announce that we're pledging an additional $1 billion to...
We had the chance to witness Bill Gates 2.0, the man you don't know.
The rebranding campaign paid off. His net worth swiftly doubled, earning Bill Gates the title of richest man in the world.
You've invested $10 billion in vaccinations over the last 2 decades, and you figured out the return on investment for that. And it kind of stunned me. Can you walk us through the math?
In a Wall Street essay, Bill Gates declared vaccines the best investment I've ever made.
There's been over a 20-to-1 return. So if you just look at the economic benefits, that's a pretty strong number compared to anything else.
The Gates Foundation expanded rapidly into a massive, vertically integrated, multinational corporation, controlling every step in a supply chain that reaches from its Seattle-based boardrooms to the villages of Africa and Asia.
Is the world's largest private philanthropy causing harm? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has made millions of dollars each year from companies blamed for many of the same social and health problems the foundation seeks to address. The Gates Foundation has investments in 69 of the worst polluting companies in the U.S. and Canada. Other companies in the foundation's portfolio have been accused of transgressions, including forcing thousands of people to lose their homes, supporting child labor, defrauding and neglecting patients in need of medical care. The Gates Foundation has not provided details.
William H. Gates III and Melinda French Gates.
As a top donor to both the WHO and the CDC, no one man has more power than Bill Gates to influence and control the health and medical freedom of all people.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
How many clues do you need to confirm that this guy, who's not a doctor, wants to the planet? First, from his own mouth.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. New vaccines. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. Genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. This won't be the last pandemic that we face. So we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is, will get attention this time.
Wow, this guy can't wait for the second pandemic. Just like I can't wait for the Beetlejuice too.
Now look at his latest product. It's called Appeal. It's like a wax coating that goes on fruits and vegetables for them to last longer. First, you can't wash it off, and according to their own documentation, you can find traces of arsenic, lead, and mercury on their products. What? So the same guy who says he wants is deeply invested in abortions, deeply invested in vaccines, and he's now putting arsenic in the food supply. He doesn't believe in planting trees.
Don't plant trees.
There's a lot of people who are very enamored with trees. We've got trees on this stage. Some people would even say that if you just planted enough trees, it could take care of the climate issue altogether.
And that's complete nonsense.
Okay.
Are we the science people or are we the idiots? Which one do we want to be?
Bill Gates said, quote, environmentalists have to grow up and stop planting trees. Trees actually contribute to carbon. And he set up $1 billion facility to destroy trees and bury the carbon that's operating right now in America. I know that sounds crazy. It's true. Biden 3 months ago approved his plan with NASA to start testing satellites in space that put out these big arrays off in deep space between the sun and the earth to block the sun's rays. I know that sounds like something Dr. Evil would try to do. I know it sounds completely bonkers. I'm not the one coming up with all this. They're doing it. All over the Western world, they're putting cricket meal in different types of so-called protein powders, and they've let them, under laws here and in Europe, not tell you it's bug protein. It's got like a code, CX3, or you can look it up. See something. The point is that they're doing it.
He wants your food to be grown in a lab with God knows what, and he wants to block out the sun. Who is this guy?
Are we the science people or are we the idiots? Which one do we want to be?
You just referenced intentional pandemics. Do you harbor any doubts about the origins of COVID-19?
No, the evidence is very clear that it's naturally caused. It's a bad virus, and we're going to have natural epidemics, and sadly we may have some unnatural epidemics in the future.
He said with a smile on his face.
So in the next 5 to 10 years, for the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when. The risk per year, 2%, 3%.
The next pandemic, and there will be one. There will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic.
We definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans, as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses.
But also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
There will be certainly what we call the black swans, the unpleasant surprises which will come in our way.
Black Swan. Wow, that was impressive, man. Klaus, you're wasting your time in this World Economic Forum, man. You have the soul of an artist.
Gates says, no relationship, nada, nothing. You report these two men met at least 6 times. What does Gates say about that?
Well, I believe there were more, and he and his spokespeople would not say how many in total they actually met. But this included visits to the mansion, seeing each other in Seattle, flying on Epstein's plane, when we all know Bill Gates has his own $40 million plane. And then, as an investigative reporter, why would Gates say, oh, I had no relationship with him, when, of course, he knows what the facts are? So that always sets off red flags for me.
He also has one of the largest, most established foundations on his own.
Yes.
Why would they ever set up a charitable trust benefiting Jeffrey Epstein?
Well,
What's the explanation?
not only does he have the world's largest charitable foundation, but one of their primary missions is to help young women in underprivileged countries. Jeffrey Epstein was preying on young women from Eastern Europe, from South Africa, luring them into his web. And it's the antithesis of what the Gates Foundation stands for. And by the way, there were Gates Foundation employees who were horrified when they realized what Jeffrey Epstein had done and was saying, we don't want to have anything to do with this, and yet the project went on.
It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
You know, I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, you know, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. You know, not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. You know, those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. You know, that goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background? Well,
you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners.
That was a good start, Sophie, but I would have liked her to also ask why he began a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after he pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor and was also facing further accusations of sex trafficking children.
Rita, Sarah Ferguson really didn't press him on this issue. And his ex-wife came out, I think it was last year or the year before, and said that he had met with Jeffrey Epstein many times. So he said last night on 7:30 that it was just one dinner and dismissed it pretty quickly. But it seems like there was much more to it, because his ex-wife came out and said she was very concerned about their relationship, so much so that she wanted to meet him and went and met with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, there's been some reporting on this because of what Melinda Gates has said. New York Times has got plenty on it, but you're right, when he kind of just dismissed it as a dinner or two, that really doesn't give you the full picture, does it, at all? Well, he's dead, so, you know, in general, you always have to be careful. And, you know, I'm very proud of
Yes, can you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it?
No.
I know. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? Can you believe that?
Well, he's dead, so, you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
All night on a drink of rum. Daylight come.